Hey guys, it's Courtney from Will's Bloom, a sanctuary of self-care for female entrepreneurs, online at willsbloom.com and here on YouTube. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about running your business more intuitively. And this is something I have really personal experience with because my last business, I used to teach English and it was not a very intuitive experience. I just was always looking outside of myself for the answers. I was always looking at stuff online, watching the Teachable Summit, thinking about how I could integrate knowledge from other people and how I could ultimately package it and make money. But I think where I was going wrong is that I wasn't actually listening to what knowledge was inside of me, the wisdom and the guidance that I already had. And because of that, it always felt like everything was a little bit strenuous. If you look on the Will's Bloom About page, I talk about how my effort to teach English and start that business was a lot like pushing, like a dung beetle pushing like poop up a hill. It just felt like a lot of shit and you're just having to put a lot of effort to move it. So what I wanted to do with this business was completely transform the way I do things. I no longer wanted to work with shit. Not that my English business was shit, but just that there was a better way for me to teach people. There was another message that I had that was even more aligned with my soul and who I am. And then on top of actually changing the work I do, I wanted to change how I did the work and make it come from like a higher purpose or my higher self and align those two objectives. So that's what I feel like I'm doing with this content. Every time I sit down and write something, I can write it super quickly. And unless, of course, I'm doing a lot of research, but a lot of the times these are things that I am embodying. So it doesn't take a lot of effort to go and look all this information up because it's knowledge that I either have inside of me, that I've been practicing for years, that I've studied for years. So it's a lot easier for some reason to just flow. And one of the key things about this business is that I'm constantly checking in with my intuition through a few different techniques. And I'm going to explain what those are now so that you guys can use them as well because they've really been a game changer for me. So they're probably not going to be new things, but I just want you guys to consider them in your business and in running your business because it will really transform the decisions that you make, the action that you take, and the issues that you come up against. And the very first technique that I use is meditation. So if I'm ever having trouble trying to decide something, what I like to do is get out of my mind because my mind will just turn it and turn it and turn it over. And instead, I just like to clear my mind and sit down and meditate. And I go in with the intention of having the answer I'm looking for at the end of the meditation. So I'm really just going to sit and drop in and close my eyes and completely drown out my internal voice. And then at the end, I open up my eyes when I feel like I've reached this inner knowing. I think it's called claircognizance, where you just have an epiphany or a moment where you just know the answer, even though you haven't looked up any more information or facts. You're not consciously thinking that that's the answer or coming to that conclusion. It's just appearing within you. And so that's the kind of results that meditation can give. It allows you to push away all the outside influences and tap into the higher self and what you already know inside. An example of this was when I didn't know where I wanted to go to school. I went to grad school and before I did this, I applied to 2 schools and I was like, okay, we'll see which one I get into and then decide. I got into both of them and I really didn't know which one to go to. And I thought about it for months. It was really hard for me to make that decision because one was in Hawaii, and who doesn't want to go to Hawaii? And the other was in Maryland. But for some reason, after I dropped into the meditation, I chose Maryland. And after months of deliberating, going back and forth between the two, and on the outside, Hawaii looked so much better. But I ended up choosing Maryland, or at least my intuition did. And even though I think if I wasn't tapping into that inner knowing, I would have chosen Hawaii, I actually think that Maryland was much better for me. There was a series of events that happened after that changed my life that are still helping me to this day now. And I feel like if I went to Hawaii, it just wouldn't have been the same. So whenever you're faced with a difficult decision in your business, I strongly suggest meditating, even a moving meditation like walking or yoga, to come to your answers. And that brings me to my second technique, which is the moving meditation. Because I think that when you have so many thoughts, the more that you sit there and try to figure out the answer, the more entangled they all get. So really the best way to get them disentangled and actually out into your body is by moving. So yoga, walking, swimming, being more in touch with nature, and even showering for me has been a wonderful moving meditation. So I strongly recommend that one as well. I'm just a firm believer that when your body is stagnant, the creativity will be stagnant too. So moving really helps get the juices flowing in every respect, because the mind and body are really intimately connected, I'm sure as you're aware. My third technique is to consult oracle cards. I absolutely love this. I pull them all the time. Just if I want a general message on the day, or if I just want to have a decision about something and I'm not really sure, what I do is I'll just shuffle a deck and I'll choose a card and read the message in the book. And I always go in with the intention to ask, normally for general guidance, but sometimes for a specific question. And it's not really good to go in with like a yes, no, even though I do that often. It's better to go in with more openness, like what do I need to hear right now? Because what I find is that the message that comes through often answers a different question, but a more important question. And that answering of that question usually indirectly impacts the answer that you're going to have on the yes or no question. Because I find that for whatever reason, it's sort of tapping into this higher energy. So when you pull an oracle card, it's more like you're speaking to your higher self. And the questions that you ask as your human self are kind of like a lower version or a dumbed down version. And the questions that you really need to be asking are the ones that are really going to be answered. And I'm going to put two decks on the screen here. One is the Kuan Yin deck, and I find this a really supportive and loving oracle card deck. Everything that she says in there is really positive and uplifting. So I really use this after my breakup, and I found it to be super helpful to get myself in the right mental state and change my perspective. And I think it works the same just for your business. And then there's another deck that is a divination deck, which is more helpful for like helping you decide things or getting like an energy read on the decisions or the thoughts that you're having for your business. So I have two more things. The very last thing to me is the most important and the most impactful in my business. The fourth one though was a pendulum, and this is really helpful. I don't use it all the time because I find that I don't trust it as much because it feels like it's from myself only, which is kind of weird because that's the whole point of your intuition. But I like the oracle decks more because it feels like a more tangible answer. Like it's not just me deciding it with my body, but there's a card that I'm reading, and I connect with the words, and it's saying, it's answering my question. So a pendulum is basically just this chain, kind of like a necklace, but it doesn't meet together, the two ends. So what you do is you're going to get a blank piece of paper and write a cross on the paper. And on the top, you're gonna write yes. And on the right-hand side, you're gonna write no. And then you'll place your elbow on the desk and the paper here. And then what you're going to do is place the bottom of the chain. There should be like some kind of crystal or something at the end. You'll place that in the middle of the X. And then you'll lift up your hand with your elbow still on the desk, and you'll ask it a question about yourself. Like, is my name Courtney? And then it should shake up and back saying yes. And then maybe you'll ask it like, do I have purple hair? And then it will shake side to side no. And then it's calibrated after you go through a series of questions like that. Then you can ask your question that you have, like the yes or no question. And what I find is that this is tapping into your intuition or your higher self, because there's going to be a deeper part inside of you that's going to move your body in a way that will shake the pendulum to the direction that you believe is the right answer. So this is a helpful technique if you're trying to just get a quick yes or no. And the very last thing, which is the most important thing in my opinion, is journaling. I absolutely love journaling. I'm one of those people whose thoughts disentangle themselves as I start to write, and I find it so incredibly helpful to have breakthroughs with my business, with my decisions, with my relationships. Everything possible happens when I'm journaling. And my biggest recommendation is to sit down and journal and just journal about whatever comes to your mind at first, and then try to actually probe a little bit deeper with time. But the most important thing is to not stop journaling when you feel like you want to stop. So I will journal and journal and journal, and then like, okay, I'm tired, I don't have anything else to say about my day. And then I'll keep going a little bit. And that's important because I always find that the breakthroughs or the deeper thoughts come after I feel like I've already talked about the stuff that's on my mind. So the answers will come if you just keep writing for a little bit longer than you feel like you need to. And one of the best things to do with journaling is to make sure that you keep up a gratitude practice in your journal. I find that my happiness is pretty highly correlated to the amount of time that I spend being grateful and positive for the things that are in my life. So if you can just write down at least 3 things a day that are different each day that you're happy for and grateful for and thankful for in your business, then it will help direct the energy in your business towards a more positive place. And I think at the end of the day, it will also help you make better decisions and be more aligned with where you want to go. So those were all the things that I'm typically doing to access my intuition and to run my business more intuitively. But I would absolutely love to know what you guys do, because I'm looking to add more things to my repertoire. So please comment down below. I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for staying tuned. And if you like this video, then you'll probably like my video on scheduling intuitively. So that's a fun one. It's going to be located up in the cards and down below in the description. And I'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, hit that notification bell, because that's how you'll hear from me every single week. Bye.